there is an insecurity issue. Some people who are unlicensed are carrying guns. We don't know their identity. The government is not interested in figuring out their identity. They are telling us that those who are killing us are those who are from the foreign country that invaded Nigeria. How can people invade your country and you are so comfortable? Politicians, lawmakers, opinion holders, and they cannot come together and say, let us fish out all these criminals who are killing our people. But instead of that, they are telling us to be careful of what we say so that we don't cause disunity. If you see a Fulani man, they are even justifying their carrying guns. All of you are sleeping. Some of you are sleeping. I will use that one. Some of you are still sleeping about what is going on in Nigeria. I laid my hand on so many things today, and I hope I actually am able to share some of them with you. Okay? Miyet Yala. Do you know that Miyet Yala is now a construction company too? Miyet Yala is negotiator for terrorists and government. Miyet Yala is also providing security like vigilante across Nigeria. Miyet Yala is also a construction company in Abuja now. So they are fully loaded. There are some of you don't have a clue of what is going on. But let's go to Abeokuta. In fact, let's go to Lagos, where Professor Wole Soyinka gave detail of what happened that fateful day when his house was invaded. I want you to listen to this. It is about of a stretch. But if you have the time, relax and listen to this. I'll take it up from there. Okay? Watch this.
And shortly we'll be joining with the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka. But before that, some stories. The Ogun State Police Command Wednesday put a lie into a trending online video suggesting that the Kempta Estate Abeokuta home of Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka had been besieged by Fulani herdsmen. The rumored invasion had caused panic in the state capital Wednesday. Joining us now from the Freedom Park in Lagos is Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka. Good to have you, Professor.
You're welcome. Glad to be back.
Yes, we understand you were meant to have a press conference, but we're glad to be ahead of the curve, so to speak. Good to have you again.
Well,
yeah, so I'd like to hear it from the horse's mouth since we have you. Can you clarify for us what exactly happened? There seem to be various, versions of what happened. We hear that the cows strayed into your compound, or we hear that cows were lost, and then the pack strayed into your compound. We hear you were attacked. So help us clarify what actually happened on Tuesday.
Yes, I've been reading some of these versions. Some are quite amusing. Others are quite distressful, especially the version being peddled by the police. I think the police need to be educated that when people talk about the invasion of a home, they're not talking just about the physical building. They're talking about home as home, which includes the grounds. No cattle people attacked me. That is a fact. I'm here physically, and I didn't suffer any injury. That never happened. But my home was invaded by cattle. Why should the police go to such lengths as to suggest that I had nothing better to do than to go accosting cattle on the road? What's my business with cattle on the road? We drove them out of my property together with my groundsmen. In fact, they began the expulsion process. I then happened to be driving out, so I joined them in my vehicle. My groundsmen are used to the drill because this is not the first time it's happened. So I joined them in my vehicle in herding the cattle out of my premises. After that, once they were out of my property, that's when I arrested the cows. Why did I arrest them? On exiting my property, just outside my gate, I beckoned to the herder, the herdsman. I said, "Come over here. Haven't I given you a warning before?" He turned around and then proceeded walking along. So I walked towards him, and the next time he leapt into the bush and disappeared, and his other assistant had also disappeared. So we were left with the cattle. And so I penned in the cattle by the roadside, called one of my groundsmen to stand there with me, and we kept the cattle there while I sent for the police to come and take over. That is a very simple, ordinary, commonsensical proceeding. Why should the police find it necessary to suggest that these people, these cattle, and the herdsmen were never in my property? I mean, what kind of nonsense? It's a distraction from more serious issues. I hate to be personally at the center of issues like this. I'm more concerned with what's happening to students in Ondo who are being waylaid by herdsmen, being kidnapped. I'm more concerned with my people in Ogun State who are being butchered, even while the governor is setting up a commission of inquiry. So please, I wish to beg the police, don't make a big issue out of this. Don't lie. Then I don't need to come here and address anyone.
All right, Prof, I gathered that the owner of the cattle and the herders is a Yoruba man. I am wondering, have you had, of course you said you've instructed them never to get into your grounds. Have you had a one-on-one discussion with the owner to make sure that this thing never occurs again, or even before that incident when you want them never to do that again?
The first thing, I'm very glad you mentioned this issue of the owner being a Yoruba. It's very critical. In fact, you'll notice that very rarely do I use the word Fulani. It's unfortunate that this particular, any kind of crime has to be linked to any section of this community, ethnic community. It's something nobody's comfortable with. But unfortunately, the Meiti Allah, so their spokespeople, were the ones who identified and claimed this crime. I know exactly what they did, and claimed this crime virtually as their own. This killing of farmers, etc., they did. And so the whole nation followed suit. Now, the owner, I've never met him before, but I have arrested on my property herdsmen before. I sat them on the ground, took photographs of them, and I said, I'm circulating this all over. And anytime you're seen around this premises, something more serious will happen to you. So it's not the first time. And I've spoken to the ballet. The police were involved, and I said, serve notice to these people. This is a green zone. This is my private home. They should not come here and drive a motorway, a cattleway through my property. If it happens again, there will be serious consequences.
Okay.
So
all right.
This thing.
Hate to interrupt your flow of thought, Professor Soyinka, but we have to go on a quick break. I'll be right back to talk with you some more.
Yes, that is the first part of the detailed interview granted the Arise News Television by Professor Wole Soyinka. Okay, so the bottom line there is that his home was invaded. Okay, and the police was trying to hide that from their own release. Okay, so if you now read the news that our police shot and they shot a Amotekun corps member for what do you call it, for arresting Fulani terrorists in Ibadan, just to let you know that. And you see people saying, oh, let us watch what we say. Let us be careful. Don't say it out. And don't cause ethnic this. You can see that Professor Wole Soyinka, being an elder statesman himself, an elderly man, is being careful as well, cautious of how he's going to present that, until he said, but when Maiyegun claimed responsibility for all this nonsense, all this crime being committed, no effort to tame these criminals or stop them. Therefore, it is better for us to let the world know the criminals that were perpetrated. So if you see any Yoruba man or a Yoruba woman jumping up and down on behalf of this whole crime to hide it away or to blackmail you into silence, remember, we have them among us. They dress like us. They speak the same language like us. But guess what? They don't care what happened to us, except what we care about ourselves. So the part I wanted to share with you is this: the news from Ibadan. DPU shoots Amotekun operative for arresting Fulani herdsmen who destroy farms. Okay, this is the news from Ibadan today, with names, place, time, and those involved. Okay, the divisional police officer in charge of Ile-Igbon division, Surulere local government area of Ogbomoso in Oyo State, Adepoju Ayodeji, on Friday shot an operative of Amotekun for arresting Fulani herdsmen who allegedly destroyed a cassava farm. The Amotekun commandant in the state, Colonel Olayanju Olayinka, retired, who confirmed this to reporters in Ibadan on Friday, said the police boss shot the victim at close range, right? So the news writer was from Sahara Reporters. Yes, policemen shot Amotekun corps member. In Ondo State, they killed 2 burnt vehicles that belong to Ondo State government. And then, at the end of the day, you would never see any of them arrested, prosecuted, or jailed for this crime. And that is why when people say we want to be safe, the government is saying, no, it's not that bad. Do you get that now? So therefore, people will resort into self-help for this reason. Watch the concluding part of Professor Wole Soyinka's interview about what happened